former Southern Kentucky police chief learns his punishment after a judge agrees to his guilty plea after first rejecting it and sending him to jail.
Starting today, thousands of Lexington homeowners are seeing an increase in their property tax.
It was bourbon and basketball today at Keeneland, why some fans camped out for hours.
This is WKYT News at 5:30.
Good evening to you. A former Southern Kentucky police chief found himself pleading guilty today just to get out of jail. That's what happened in Pulaski County.
A judge sent Robbie Gossett, the former Science Hill police chief, to jail on Monday after rejecting his plea deal, saying Gossett wasn't specific enough in explaining how he stole money from the city. Phil Pendleton shows us what happened in court today in our top story at 5:30.
Pulaski Circuit Court's now in session. Please be seated and come to order.
Robbie Gossett was in shackles and chains as he walked into the courtroom Friday, 5 days after being ordered to jail because the judge didn't approve of how he was pleading guilty.
I'll ask then, how do you plead to 2 counts of tampering with public records, Class D felonies?
Guilty, sir.
Thank you.
On Monday, Gossett only indicated he made a few mistakes in tabulating deposits when he took them from City Hall to the bank. Friday, he was more specific. What happened to $30,000 over a year-and-a-half period between 2008 and 2009.
You know, sometimes it'd be a week, 2 weeks, maybe a month. It'd just be sitting there. It started out, you know, I might take $100 out for, you know, a lunch or something.
Gossett's sentence was 2 years in prison, but he won't serve any prison time as long as he pays restitution and meets other requirements of a pretrial diversion program. Gossett will have to serve some time in confinement, 21 days in home incarceration. The judge said that strikes a balance in making Gossett accountable, but also allows him to work to pay off his debts.
And there's frequently the perception that public officials, they get all these special breaks. Nobody gets a special break.
Gossett's position as police chief was officially terminated Tuesday. He must pay back the $30,000 in monthly payments of $500 starting June 1st. In Pulaski County, Phil Pendleton, WKYT.
The former police chief must forfeit all firearms and other equipment he owned pertaining to his work in law enforcement.
An officer was injured yesterday while trying to arrest a man under the influence of drugs. Our county-by-county coverage at 5:30 begins in Knox County. Police say they received a complaint of a man believed to be high in California Hollow. They say when they arrived, they found 22-year-old Brandon Stewart in the grass. Police say Stewart headbutted the trooper conducting the search, causing both of them to fall backwards and cutting the trooper's head.
If law enforcement tells you that you're under arrest and you're going to jail, then simply that means you're going to go to jail.
Police say Stewart was high on meth and they found several syringes on him. He faces assault, resisting arrest, and public intoxication charges, among others. In Madison County, a woman is facing charges after police say a dispute got out of hand. Police say 23-year-old Kiera Clayton and another woman were involved in an argument last month. The complaint says that during the argument, Clayton reportedly climbed on the other woman's car and proceeded to jump up and down on top of it, causing more than $1,000 in damage. Clayton has been charged with criminal mischief.
Starting today, thousands of homeowners in Lexington are getting an unwanted letter in the mail. Their property taxes are going up. The PVA's office is sending out notices to people whose properties have been reassessed at a higher value, telling them how much more they'll have to pay this year. Jennifer Palumbo's at the live desk with a story that's new on WKYT. And Jennifer, this is a lot of money.
It is, Sam, more than $1 billion. Fayette PVA David O'Neill says last year Fayette County's land value was $23.8 billion. This year it could jump to $25 billion. That would be the biggest increase since the recession in 2008. That's actually good news, though, for public schools and local government, which received $260 million in property taxes last year. The PVA's office assesses how much residential and commercial buildings are worth. O'Neill says the 26,000 people will see an increase this year because the value of their properties went up, and that's a reflection of Lexington's booming real estate market.
Most assessing is done based on sales of properties similar to yours in an area close to your house. So we study a couple of years worth of sales. We pick up deeds from the county clerk's office every day. We data enter those into our system, and then that's what we base assessments on.
If you get one of the notices saying your home is worth more and believe the PVA's office got it wrong, you can appeal. O'Neill says because they don't actually go into the homes, they don't know, for example, how many bedrooms or bathrooms your home has. So homeowners can call the PVA's office and make an appointment to make their case. In some cases, they may get their assessment lowered. At the live desk, Jennifer Palumbo, WKYT.
Under state law, properties must be checked every 4 years to determine if their value has in fact changed. You can read more about the story on WKYT.com.
It is hard to beat a day like this here in the Bluegrass, and lucky for us, the weekend is looking just as good.
It is perfect. Let's check in now with meteorologist Jim Caldwell with an early look at that beautiful weekend forecast.
And beautiful is a good word. Awesome, fantastic. Any positive adjective that you can use here to describe the weekend, I think is going to fit because it will be super nice out there. There's another one. I'm on fire today, Sam. We're tracking a little bit of cloud cover out there today and a few showers as well. Very few, as a matter of fact. Check out this one little rogue area of moisture trying to go up across parts of Madison County. Now, we had this happening yesterday, a little more widespread, as a matter of fact, yesterday. Today, it's very, very hit and miss. More miss than it is hit for you today. Temperatures, not a miss. 77 degrees in Lexington right now, 72 in Richmond. You look in eastern Kentucky, they're running in the mid-70s, low 70s as well. I mean, just a lot of warmth anywhere you go. Now, as we look a little more toward the north, you can see that everybody around us very similar. Hour-by-hour forecast will quickly reveal as we head through the overnight and into the early morning. We're in the 40s again tomorrow morning. Not bad, but daytime highs are right back into the upper 60s and low 70s tomorrow, and even warmer for your Sunday. We could push near 80 area-wide by Monday. I'll track all of it coming up in just a few minutes.
Thank you, Jim. Fans lining up at Keeneland early this morning, but it had nothing to do with racing.
Instead, hundreds showed up for a chance to meet some UK basketball greats. Mark Barber was at Keeneland this morning and has more on how some people pulled out all the stops for today's event.
The people signed, the players are going to be signing.
Alonzo Williams was the first to start camping out early yesterday morning.
7-3-6.
After waiting more than 30 hours, he bagged his signed bottle of bourbon.
I don't drink it.
That's because this isn't any bourbon. It's the Maker's Mark commemorative bottle, and it's signed by some of UK's greats.
This is what Kentucky basketball is all about.
Rick Roby played on the 1978 championship team. He's signing bottles for hundreds of fans, along with Coach Joe Hall and 3 other teammates.
This is the reason why the great players want to play at Kentucky, because of this fan support.
Fans like Adam Weaver drove more than 800 miles for these special signatures.
I mean, it's just part of the Big Blue Nation. I mean, when you're this passionate about things.
Once these dedicated UK fans bagged up their special edition bottles, they headed home to place the bourbon in a trophy cabinet and place themselves back in bed.
And I'll go home and I'll sleep till tomorrow because I've got to get some sleep. I'm tired.
There were 750 tickets for this bottle signing. They all sold out. Event organizers ask, is it really that surprising? In Lexington, Mark Barber, WKYT.
Well, through the bottle signings and their partnership with Keeneland, Maker's Mark plans to give $2 million over the next 5 years to a program that provides academic support for UK's student athletes.
This next story comes with a warning. Sending money by check might not be as safe as you think. Con men using duct tape and a string figured out a way to make big money in a short period of time.
This recording says you owe a payment, and I thought that's strange because I knew I had sent the payment.
So Ann Haley called her bank. The bank said the checks had been cashed.
She pulled up my account and she showed me copies of the checks.
Ann immediately knew the writing wasn't hers, and the amounts were for hundreds more than she wrote.
What they did was they changed the company I sent the check to. They changed the amount, but they left my signature on the check.
Ann was a victim of check washing, when con men chemically alter the checks to get cash immediately. In Ann's case, they stole $3,000.
I was upset, very upset, to think that, because at that time I wasn't sure that I'd get the money back.
Postal inspectors quickly realized checks were being stolen from specific mailboxes. They call it phishing.
It can be as simple as a piece of duct tape, or it can be as elaborate as a metal sheet wrapped in duct tape, and they'll throw that into one of our blue collection boxes, and they'll pull it out with an attached string or long tail, and they'll have all the mail stuck to it.
Inspectors say almost 30 victims lost more than $20,000 in just a 4-month span. They have simple advice: if you mail checks, take your mail inside the post office or check the collection box times.
Every collection box says when the last pickup time is or collection time is, and you know if you mail right before then, those checks will be picked up by the post office and will be in safe hands.
And you may be glad to know that after filing a police report and a mail complaint, the bank reinstated all of her money.
We are just over 3 weeks until the Kentucky Derby. In just a few minutes here on WKYT, what crews at Churchill Downs are doing now to prepare.
I'm Bill Bryant. A national pollster says there is a reason political polls in Kentucky are so often wrong. And the candidates for president are working New York hard. The bottom line is ahead.
I'm Victor Puente in Mercer County, where a teenager has been charged with murder and robbery. Coming up at 6, we'll tell you what's happened so far in this case and what's next for the victim's family.
For all your hearth and grill needs, shop barnhillchimney.com.
Don't be chicken. Come into Captain D's for our Southern-style whitefish, topped with a special blend of seasonings for our Nashville hotfish. Also try our catfish feast or grilled tilapia and shrimp skewer meal. For full meals starting at $4.99, it's gotta be D's.
Think for a moment. You don't think twice about having your eyes tested, but what about your hearing? Hi, I'm Marcia Mattingly. At Beltone, we've helped thousands of people lead richer, fuller lives by showing them that they can hear the way they should. At Beltone, a free hearing test can determine if you need hearing help. Call now. You have everything to gain. 50 years and 3 generations serving the tri-state with the most trusted name in hearing aids, Beltone.
There's nothing like making their day, except making sure their tomorrow is taken care of too. Financial guidance while you're mastering life. From Chase, so you can.
Get your 2016 Dollywood Season Pass now and enjoy a full year of unlimited fun for the whole family. There's great entertainment for everyone, including Lightning Rod, the fastest wood coaster in the world. The return of Mother Africa to Festival of Nations, 2 new summer family shows, and new holiday experiences. Buy your pass now at Dollywood.com.
Get a season pass for as low as $16.50 per month. Hurry, offer ends April 24th.
Raise your hand if you haven't been to the dentist in over a year. I'm coming to you. Aspen Dental wants to make it as easy as possible to get to the dentist. They have something that will make the exam cheaper than that drink in your hand. Bam. Why don't you get on a group text to make sure that you all go. What day did you say?
Thursday anytime.
You're in Thursday at any time.
That was pretty easy. No insurance? Get a free new patient exam and x-rays.
My work is done here.
Dentistry's never been easier. Call 1-800-ASPEN-DENTAL.
We hid cameras in 2 different cars, the Chevy Equinox with built-in 4G LTE Wi-Fi and the Ford Escape without.
Chocolate chip, chocolate chip.
Keep your legs down. Tina, put your leg down.
Chevrolet is the first and only car company to bring built-in 4G LTE Wi-Fi to cars, trucks, and crossovers.
Find your tag and get a total value of $2,250 on this Chevy Equinox. See your Kentucky Select Chevy dealers.
Don't be chicken. Come into Captain D's for our Southern-style whitefish, topped with a special blend of seasonings for our Nashville hotfish. Also try our catfish feast or grilled tilapia and shrimp skewer meal. For full meals starting at $4.99, it's gotta be D's.
Pollsters say they're having trouble keeping up with technology, and Bernie Sanders heads to the Vatican.
Bill Bryant has the details in today's Bottom Line.
Good evening. Some leading national pollsters were at the University of Kentucky's Martin School this week to talk about why polling numbers are so often wrong these days. You'll remember last November when media polling showed Democrat Jack Conway leading in the governor's race just days before Republican Matt Bevin won a convincing victory. And in 2014, the polls in Kentucky failed to detect the support for Senator Mitch McConnell that his 15-point re-election victory soon showed. Robert Blizzard is a part partner at Public Opinion Strategies. They do a lot of polling for Republican candidates and also team up with Democratic firms for other polls. He says it is not easy to get credible numbers these days, and many polling companies only call people on landlines at home.
The problem was they weren't dialing a single cell phone interview. And you have about 35 to 40% of all registered voters here in Kentucky live in cell phone only households. So essentially, by not doing any cell phone interviewing, you are just keeping a third, up to a third of voters just out of your sample.
You can see my full interview with Blizzard and see some middle-of-the-night announcements about that Kentucky budget deal on Kentucky Newsmakers. It airs in its entirety Sunday morning at 6 on WKYT, and it repeats Sunday at 10 a.m. on the CW Lexington. The presidential candidates are laser-beam focused on New York right now in next Tuesday's primary. But Bernie Sanders is talking about issues from overseas. He headed to the Vatican today at the invitation of the Pope. From there, he spoke on the economy and social justice. Back in the Empire State, Hillary Clinton is campaigning hard in the state that elected her to the U.S. Senate twice. It comes after she and Sanders tangled in a debate last night on CNN. On the Republican side, polls continue to show a strong lead for Donald Trump in his home state. But Ted Cruz and John Kasich continue to try to hold down Trump's margin. Senator Cruz, by the way, repeated in an interview today that Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell lied to him about the Export-Import Bank legislation. At the same time, Cruz said he would get along well with Congress. Bill Bryant, WKYT.
It is a sign of the times at Churchill Downs. Today, Cruz updated the signage in the grandstands and at the winner's stand to reflect the 142nd Kentucky Derby. The track is also wrapping up an $18 million renovation project. The stakes room is being expanded on the 4th floor of the clubhouse, while the 3rd floor turf club is undergoing renovations, including a new balcony overlooking the paddock.
Now, your hour-by-hour forecast with meteorologist Jim Caldwell.
Hard to believe we're already talking about it. It's within reach, though. We're talking less than a month away, and that means our weather is going to get into this kind of category for a long period of time. We're not just going to have it occasionally. It's here to stay. Here's what we've got. It's almost summer-like pattern coming at you, and I mean that with temperatures, too. It's like that today. The only thing missing from today is humidity. That would be the real push into really making it feel like summer. It's quiet overall as we head through the next several days. And the weather winds at Keeneland this weekend. Opening weekend, not so much. But this weekend, it looks absolutely fantastic. As we move forward out there, we're looking at around 70 tomorrow. And then we're looking at 74 on Sunday. So a great looking weather weekend at Keeneland or anywhere else you want to go. A blue-white game, it looks wonderful as well. Probably the 60s for it due to the fact that it's midday. So a good looking forecast overall. Let's show you where it looks good elsewhere, and that is all along Interstate 75, sunshine, as we track it there to the Clays Ferry Bridge. We move a little more toward the north, where we're still coming in on sunshine, and folks starting to get out and about a little bit more. And our camera there at Manamore doesn't want to show up. That's all right. It's still happy, too, because we're seeing all the sun along Interstate 75 and everywhere else. Now, we do have a little bit of cloud cover that has worked into the area and even an occasional shower. And I'm talking very small showers have gone up here over the past few hours. Yesterday, we had numerous showing up across southern and eastern portions of Kentucky. Today, not so much. Low and mid 70s, even some upper 70s out there. It's 77 degrees right now in Lexington, 72 in Richmond. You go down the road, a little thicker cloud cover has been showing up. They even had a little shower pass by earlier, very brief and very small, so impacting the temperatures just a little bit to at least decrease them, cause them to roll back. Hour by hour forecast still picking up on the possibility of a stray shower, essentially between Lexington and Louisville, that general area, and right along Interstate 64. Overnight and into the early morning hours, mid and upper 40s are back in town, and then we get into the upper 60s and low 70s for you as we head into the afternoon and evening tomorrow. A great looking day. Here we go to our 7-day forecast, where we have all of that warmth, where we're talking mid 70s by Sunday, close to 80 on Monday, Tuesday. We're in that same ballpark. But I do have bad news in there.
We've got a little dip in temperatures. We're going to be in the upper 60s, low 70s by the end of the week.
That's not bad news.
Oh, okay, you're right.
I want to thank the students and the teachers at 8th and Charlesburg Elementary for having me for Career Day. Great. And they said weather was the #1 priority in news.
Well, we knew that.
And I was at St. Mary's in Paris, and they could not wait to get out of school this afternoon. So thank you for having me over. They wanted to get outside and play.
Oh, with that sun coming through the windows, yeah, I want to go and play too.
Thanks, Jim.
Okay.
Well, spring practice wrapping up tomorrow with the blue-white game.
Tonight, the military's ultimate weapon.
How do we stop it?
Will be used against them.
You can't.
New Hawaii Five-0. Then.
Reagan.
Hello again, Detective. We will be inextricably linked together, you and I. The serial killer and the cop. I'm never leaving your head.
Uncle Daddy.
Nikki! I just want my granddaughter back.
New Blue Bloods after Hawaii Five-0. CBS tonight.
These creamery shakes are so rich and creamy.
Finally a shake for an aficionado like myself.
You're a shake aficionado?
Not a shake aficionado, the shake aficionado.
Handcrafted, slow-churned creamery shakes are here. This is how you Sonic.
When you play Kentucky lottery games like 5-card cash, college students all over Kentucky are dealt a winning hand.
Fueling imagination.
Funding education.
Here's to good times. To fast times. To the moments when time seems to stop. To the tailgaters and the railbirds, the long shots and the big wins. Here's to friends, new and old. And to the 16 spring days when it all comes together for one world-class event. The Keeneland Spring Meet, April 8th through the 29th.
Race into Logan's for your winning outfit and save during Logan's huge Derby sale. Our entire stock of over 2,000 name brand suits and sport coats are now reduced with savings up to 60%. Now through Derby Day, save 25% on all Allen Edmonds shoes. Our entire stock of Southern Tide sportswear is now 20% off. Hundreds of Famous Maker ties are now at least 50% off. And Logan's has Central Kentucky's finest selection of sportswear from Vineyard Vines and Peter Millar. Find your winning outfit on sale now at Logan's and the Tates Creek Center.
I don't want to live with the uncertainties of Hep C.
Or wonder whether I should seek treatment.
I am ready.
Because today, there's Harvoni, a revolutionary treatment for the most common type of chronic hepatitis C. Harvoni is proven to cure up to 99% of patients who've had no prior treatment. It's the one and only cure that's one pill once a day for 12 weeks. Certain patients can be cured with just 8 weeks of Harvoni. With Harvoni, there's no interferon, and there are no complex regimens. Tell your doctor if you have other liver or kidney problems, HIV, or other medical conditions, and about all the medicines you take, including herbal supplements. Taking amiodarone with Harvoni may cause a serious slowing of your heart rate. Common side effects of Harvoni may include tiredness, headache, and weakness. I am ready to put Hep C behind me.
I am ready to be cured.
Are you ready? Ask your Hep C specialist if Harvoni is right for you.
These half-price cheeseburgers are the only good thing about tax day.
Right.
What are you doing, by the way?
I'm organizing my receipts.
Okay, these are all just Sonic receipts, and I pay for everything.
So we're filing jointly?
Half-price cheeseburgers on tax day, Monday, April 18th. This is how you Sonic.
Get WKYT news and weather updates on 98.1 The Bull.
The Kentucky coaches have said they are happy with spring practice. It all wraps up tomorrow with the annual Blue-White game at Commonwealth Stadium. But which players perform the best on offense and defense? Well, defensive coordinator DJ Elliott singled out tackle Courtney Miggins, who came in last year from the junior college ranks. He was a three-star player coming out of high school. And the first player that co-offensive coordinator Eddie Grand mentioned, running back Shaim King, who played last season as a true freshman. King was the Georgia Offensive Player of the Year.
You know, in my position, Shaim King. I think he's really stepped it up right now, especially academically too. He's responded, and I think he's had a really good spring.
I think Courtney Miggins has had a great spring. I think Courtney Miggins for us was a backup and a role player for us. last year. He came in August. I've always thought that he's had talent, but not only was he not here for the spring last year, he wasn't even here for the summer last year. He's been able to go through an off season, and now he's been able to go through a spring ball, and I think that he's really improved a lot as a player.
The Blue-White game tomorrow at Commonwealth Stadium. It will be televised at noon on the SEC Network. And if you can't get your fill of football Saturday, you can join us Sunday on the CW Lexington Kentucky Football 2016 Blue-White game. Recap of spring practice, interviews with the coaches and players as they get ready for the upcoming season in the fall. Well, they just ran the Makers 46 mile out at Keeneland. We will show you the stretch run coming up in the next half hour. One of the horses in the field is one of the greatest values at the racetrack today. Doc, who finished ninth, has earned more than $120,000 after his trainer Scott Brumley of Georgetown bought him for $1. The horse was injured as a weanling, and the owners wanted to give him a shot, so they sold him to Brumley for $1.
Most racehorses will run if you give them a chance, but you've got to get them physically fit, physically sound, and mentally sound, and it's not that easy. But if you give them a chance, they will run. You just have to be patient and take your time and learn your lessons. Each time you do something, you got to read what happens, and then you've got to try something else the next time.
Good race today, the Makers 46 mile. We'll look at it coming up at 6 o'clock. Stay with us. We'll continue after the break.